and I want to talk a little bit here about the Nets. Um, and they've been having some summer league showouts, man. Um, the Nets beat the Kings in summer league yesterday, 115-83. Yegor Doman, 22 points, 8 assists, 4 steals. Mikal Brown Jr., 16 points, 5 assists, 2 steals. And Drake Powell finally got his shot back. Went 6 out of 10, 4-7 from 3 for 18 points. This Nets team, coach, they got a backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
Those dudes can play. Doman looks smooth. He looks real smooth, and his shot has improved from last year. So now it's going to open up the middle, going to the hole, right? And you see him doing that and getting to the rack more. You know, he had a couple dunks in the game yesterday. You could see him get to the free throw line a lot more. So I'm telling you, he's gonna surprise some people. I'm not saying he's gonna be a 20-point per game. He might average 20. I mean, he averaged in 20 in the summer league with summer league though. But again, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's gonna be this all-star player. I'm saying he could be a guy that jumps and maybe be in the conversation for like a most improved player type situation. Because I see big time improvement from, you know, the guys that popped last year, Cooper Flag, Con Knipple. You know, you had a couple guys out there, and you know there was some guys. Like I said, the Nets didn't have any of these guys in top 15 of rookie voting. Not any of their 5 draft. They had 5 of them, and none of them were in the top 15. So I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, who do they got? They got Yegor Doman. That's who they got. And, you know, Mikal Brown Jr. has been getting a lot of hype. I don't know if you've been seeing it on the internet or not, but he's looking pretty good, man. You know, for his first couple of games now, he's a rookie. And not getting over concerned with that. You know, I mean, overhyped. We're not overhyping it. But what I'm saying is you could see the potential. You could tell the potential. You see the eye test, and you could tell he has a feel for the game. You know, I like to talk about those intangibles. You know, he has a real good feel for the game, a good basketball IQ. His court vision is off the chain. So he's gonna get these other guys involved. I know he is this year. And you could see him transition. That's why I've been watching the Summer League. I'm seeing the growth of these players. You could see one game he went off with the scoring. I think he had 20-something, over 20 points or something. And then the second game, you know, this game right here, he became more of a facilitator. I think he had the 5 assists. So you could see he has that feel for the game. Like, okay, cool. Yegor has it. He's hot. Let me feed Yegor. Or let me get it to Chaney Johnson. That's the backup big man. Nets got some pieces. And let's see if, you know, one of them, you know, or a couple of them really show out this year, and maybe they play for a play-in. I don't know. What you think?
We talked about this earlier on the Pick and Roll podcast, because we even broke down the two conferences. You know, how people talk about, you know, the West is tougher. And we went through and we showed that actually it's going to be tougher in the East. The Atlantic Division alone is going to be tough. Yes, the top 4. And I said to him, don't sleep on Brooklyn. Do not sleep on Brooklyn. I said before, Brooklyn can play for a play-in. If you look at their roster, Julius Randle is going to, try and push you guys, there. And Wagner, while Wagner is not, someone that you can go crazy on, he's still a vet. And he's a grizzled type of guy. He's like one of those glue type of guys, So, you don't want to count on him to score points, but, set picks, be physical on the defensive end, get you some rebounds. When you have easy shots, you hit them, especially if you're at the rim, which is going to help you young guys, especially as far as veterans leading those guys along the way. So, and then, in your backcourt, like you said, I mean, everything I've been hearing, they're there. You have the pieces, not that you're there, but you have the pieces to build something in your backcourt. So, and to compete in the East, yeah, like I said, we broke it down. Outside of Milwaukee, we legitimately said everyone can at least play for the play-in or the playoffs, and that's including Washington, that's Charlotte, Brooklyn.
Yegor is 6'9".
Yeah, I know.
What I noticed about the Nets this summer league is I think they can be a really good defensive team, but they missing that shot blocker. If you go out and you get you a real legit shot blocker, this team's gonna be tough to score on. Because because the way they play in that backcourt that they got, now Michael Porter Jr. and Julius Randle ain't wonderful defenders, but you have guys that you can put out there. Some of these young guys that have size and length, like Yegor, like Clowney, like you got Sharp, you got what's my other man's name? These kids, Drake Powell, Saraf, Danny Wolf. You got some of these guys, man, and all these guys 6'8", 6'9". I call them the 6'8" Nets. They all 6'8", 6'9", around in that range. And if you have that type of size and length on the court where guys can switch, you have a lot of switchability, then you can be a really tough defensive team, tough to score on and get open against.
No, I agree with you. And that's why, like I said,
and I think Fernandez, the coach, is not to just one last point. I think Fernandez, the coach, is he's implementing that. I think that's something that he's driving, is for this team to be a really good defensive team. But go ahead.
No, I mean, like I said, I've been saying Brooklyn is going to be a team that's going to be tough for a lot of teams. It's going to surprise teams. And look, can they compete with Charlotte? Can they compete? Atlanta confuses me because they have a lot of great skill guys, and they like you're talking about the Nets. They have guys in that range too, outside of McCollum, that can switch and they play some good defense. So, but Brooklyn can be right there. Washington is all contingent upon Trey and Anthony Davis, if he's still there or not.
I trust that team. The Bonson look good though.
But if you go through and you look at their roster, they do have talent there.
There you go. They got a lot of talent. I just don't trust them. Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying.
I don't trust them to put it together. You know what I'm saying?
Look, somebody's going to be on the back end in the division, in the conference. We know that. We understand that. But the point I'm making is the Eastern Conference, seriously, top to bottom, is going to be a lot tougher. It's not top heavy like the West, because out West you pretty much say, okay, it's San Antonio, OKC, maybe Denver, and Minnesota. Then it falls off to the next group, which is like Golden State, the Lakers, maybe the Clippers, Portland, Phoenix possibly. Houston is like maybe right in between that group, depending on what happens with Fred. But my point being is, but if you look at the East, Knicks, Boston, Philly, Toronto, Cleveland. I mean, you can say you don't trust Cleveland depending on what happens with LeBron, but Indiana, what's going to happen with? So again, I'm I'm sitting here looking at the East, and I'm like, Brooklyn is going to be right there. And yes, you're right. They can be playing for a play-in. They can be right there in that range between the 7 to 12, somewhere in that range.
Mhm.
Yes, they
Yeah,
can be
because like you
competing.
said, we got to see it from a lot of these teams. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? We got to see what the Pacers look like with Halliburton back from the injury. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? We got to see if the Raptors even get Kawhi Leonard now.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying? So we got to see what
it's the
Giannis and
Sixers.
Bam look like
Yeah,
in Miami and how they if they
no,
can build a
everybody.
roster
Yeah,
around.
everyone.
So they do there is, and that's just a couple teams. They do have a Charlotte. They made some trades. You know what I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mean? Chicago, they got a young team, just like
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn. So I mean, same thing with the Magic. They got a young up and coming team. Let's see if they can get back in
So yeah,
contention.
the new coach over there. What does he
The
do?
new
Because
coach.
they've
Yeah.
always had the talent. Yeah.
You know what
So,
I'm
but
saying?
again,
So,
that's my point though. The East
I don't
is
know.
not it's not going to be. You're not going to run away in a sense. Have the top running away.
Mhm.
It's going to be close. All year, in my
So
opinion.